Hi, Kerry. It's awesome having you here today. Normally, you're our social media manager for Smurgos, and you do a phenomenal job helping us, grow our network, impact more people's lives, and in general, just make a difference. And you started the year off with a bang. Most people ease into the year, maybe starting the serious stuff at the beginning of Feb, but you hit the ground running right at the beginning, and you've just finished the final edits of your book.
Yeah, we are finishing editing around about this week, which is exciting.
And the book is titled Finding My Feet, and you've been working on this book for quite a while. How long has it been?
Definitely an on and off process, I would say years, but I mean, probably in actual sense, about a year, maybe a bit more.
So the book is titled Finding My Feet, and it's an autobiography about your life journey. Am I correct?
Yes, it's all about my story of living with a rare disease, disability, and all the challenges and adventures that come with it.
That must have been quite a tough ask. I mean, writing a book is bad enough or hard enough, and then writing an autobiography. But when you've had a rare disease and you've had quite a challenging, upbringing and things like that, um, it must have been quite a task to write. What was the toughest part for you?
Me, it was, although it is majority my personal story and my life, it's also my family, my friends, people that have been actively involved within my life. And I take the responsibility of sharing their story as well as mine very seriously. I want them to agree with the representation. I want them to feel happy with how they're presented in the book. And I want them to feel as if we're sharing a story in a really good way and in good terms.
Mm, And with that, it's about telling your story and weaving them in at the same time. So I can understand how that can be quite a challenge to make sure that you are having the proper representation all around. So writing an autobiography is often a challenge, and it's a challenge from an emotional perspective because you obviously want to have a real representation of the life that you've been through. So were there any particular parts in the book that you found difficult to write from an emotional perspective?
So we do have a chapter on my burden complex as a concept, and the burden chapter is extremely raw and confronting and emotional. And it was hard enough to live the first time, then I had to relive it when I rewrote it, and then I needed to relive it when we edited again. So for me, it was just really emotional. It's quite draining, and I think also maybe your perspectives slightly change because you feel like you've learned through the experience, but you want to present it in the most real and initial way, which is definitely really important. For
And
me, I always wanted to represent with a lot of humor.
okay, is that I think in another conversation we were having, you said you often use humor to kind of shield things or like lighten things, and I think you mentioned that that wasn't your intention here in the book in general, or in that chapter in specific.
Definitely. So I think there's always a space for some humor and some like genuine representation of me. I think I do quite like a good laugh and making light of a hard situation. I think that's how we get through a lot of things. But this chapter is it's not that. It's probably one of the hardest chapters to read for everyone else as well. So I think it's important that it is raw and it's real and it is very emotional.
Mm. And I think back to one of my earlier questions that I didn't get to actually ask you. With what you've just said, raw, emotional, what inspired you to write this book?
So I've always enjoyed sharing my story. It started with speaking and then it became the blog. And I've always dreamed of leaving something quite important behind.
Mm.
So for me, it was being able to inspire young rare warriors who may feel lost and confused. While on the flip side, giving families of rare warriors just a little bit of peace, knowing that it's not all bad, but also that we appreciate their fight that they have with us because it's not just us, it's everyone that lives this journey with us as well.
So these rare warriors are now hopefully going to read your book, and it's going to help them find their feet, perhaps.
So I hope they find some inspiration and some peace and maybe some understanding as well.
Mm. And if you had to encapsulate this book in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
For me, I really enjoyed this question, and I think it was so poignant to the book. So for me, it's supportive, raw, and relatable.
I like those words. From a perspective, you're saying a raw because it's the truth, as you said with that chapter burden. You weren't hiding anything. It is what it is. And then I think supportive from the perspective of you want to create that guide or that story for other people who are suffering from a rare disease to say, like, you might be going through this. I've gone through it and I was okay, and you'll be okay as well. And then relatable because I think knowing you and knowing your mission behind this book, I think you don't want to just make it for one person and like you're just reading this. It's not like a DIY guide or anything like that. It's relatable because I've gone through experiences, you've gone through experiences. This is how I kind of coped, and this is how you can do it as well.
Definitely. I think it's giving perspective without giving an instruction. Like, I'm not pretending to have all the answers, but I definitely feel that everyone needs some perspective every now and again. And maybe if that could help just one person, that seems like enough for me.
That's awesome. And obviously, now that we've just, chatted about the book, people watching this are going to be like, yes, I need to get that book. But it's not hitting the shelves just yet. Tell us more.
So we are going to be launching on the 1st of March, which happens to be International Wheelchair Day, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
And the hard copies will be available via Take-A-Lot, as well as if you want to attend the book launch, there will be books available at the launch. And you can pre-order online copies on Amazon. So all this information is available on all my social media and my website.
So that's Take-A-Lot, Amazon, the Kerry Walsh Trust.co.za. And last but not least, I have to mention this because I thought it was very fancy and very cool. Who is your publisher?
Harvard Inc.
Harvard Inc. Very fancy. Well, Kerry, it's been awesome chatting to you, and thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about your book. And I wish it all the great success that it will be, and hope to chat to you soon. I'll definitely be at the book launch, and we'll be, taking some photos together so I can be fancy and cool as well. But thank you so much, and we'll chat soon.
Chat soon, and looking forward to seeing you there.